There's a lot of talk about the great lock-in of 2025, especially in the final quarter. We're in the final 3 months of 2025. October is going on. We have November and December to follow. We're in the final 3 months of the year, and everybody is talking about locking in and being focused and going ghost mode and being hyper motivated and hyper disciplined to like end their year on the best note possible and self improving to the peak to wherever they can, like the highest peak they can reach. And I thought that with all of this buzz around the winter arc and the great lock in, why not talk about the greatest, most motivating movie character of all time, Rocky Balboa, right? Rocky Balboa will turn 50 years old in 2026 next year, and I think the reason why Rocky is still so relevant to like youngsters of today. Like I especially, I'm 22. I'll turn 23 next year. I think Rocky is now more relevant than ever. It's only like the way the generations have progressed and the way the world has come forward. The world is very very vastly different from 1976. We're now in 2025. 2025 is about to end, and the world like about 50 years ago was completely different. But I think there are so many themes which are still so much relevant to today's youngsters, like guys like myself, guys who are maybe 10 years older than me, guys who are maybe 5 years younger than me, like anybody who is in the age bracket of, I would say, 17 to like 28, because these are the years where people really they start discovering themselves. And I am especially I'm still discovering myself, and there is a lot of there's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of hopefulness, there's a lot of sort of like the mystery as to what life has for me. And apart from all of this, there is also this feeling of whether things will go the way we want them to, right? So obviously I think Rocky, I've listed down a few years, I have them in front of me. I've listed down a few reasons in like why, as to why Rocky is still so relevant to youngsters these days, and why young men still resonate with Rocky as much as they did back in 1976, and how they will keep continuing to resonate with Rocky as the decades progress. First of all, the obvious, Rocky is very very hardworking. Rocky is very 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 dedicated. He's very focused. He's very like the ultimate story about perseverance and motivation and discipline leading to the best possible results and leading to glory. And even the tagline of the first film, his whole life was a million to one shot, right? Like that symbolizes any and everything. Rocky's life was very turbulent, very tumultuous, but his never give up attitude is what made him survive. And a lot of people, young men especially, because when we're trying to find our place in the world, it really helps having somebody like that. Even if he's like a movie character, it really helps having somebody even fictional to look up to and aspire to be like. And movies obviously are one of the biggest sources of inspiration for people all around the world. Like no matter your age, you can be a guy who is 12, you can be a guy who is 22 like myself, you can be a guy who is 52 or 72. You'll always have somebody who you can watch or look up to in the movies, and you can sort of resonate with. And they're overall a really really great experience. And Sly Stallone, obviously Sylvester Stallone, is probably easily in my opinion one of the top 10 biggest legends of all time. Love that guy. But I'll try to go a little deeper as to why Rocky, apart from just the hard work and the perseverance, there's a few other reasons that I think of as to why Rocky is still very very relatable in 2025. First of all, there is this feeling of this unshakable sort of sinking sentiment that every single guy feels, that we're running out of time. I especially have started feeling this a lot. I'll turn 23, so my age is getting really serious, and I'm still trying to discover my path in life and my purpose in life. And I'm trying to this YouTube channel is basically because I want to help the younger version of me. I've been wanting to do YouTube for a while, and I was just putting it off and procrastinating because I was distracted. And guys who come from backgrounds like mine, or guys who relate to me, they or guys who are like myself, we understand that our generation's biggest battle is not the Great Depression, like physical, sort of regression or financial regression or something. But it's yes, financial and physical regression is a thing, and yes, financial and physical improvement is a thing. But our main struggle is with our attention spans, our spiritual war. There is this hold on our attentions, and this hold on our mindsets, and this hold on our levels of focus, and how critically think, how good of critical thinkers we are, and how much we can use our brain, and how much we can keep our mind and our spirit and our soul aligned and towards the right thing, right? Instead of being distracted and constantly chasing dopamine, and like finding purpose in hardship. And I think a lot of guys who have been through this struggle and who still continue with this, and I happen to be one of those. Obviously, I'm still in the same boat. I still struggle a lot. I try to work my way out. This is one way of working it out. And I think a lot of us cannot shake this feeling of like we're constantly running out of time, and that the red pill sort of like promises us a prime at around 30-35. I if I could have that earlier, bro, I'd love to have that. So there is always this feeling of like time running by me, and that I need to somehow catch up to it, right? And I need to somehow like get things right and get things in order before I am before I'm too old, or before it's too late, right? And you never know when it's too late, because like one day you're 15, and the next day you wake up and you're suddenly like you don't remember where the last 5 years go by. You turn 20. This is exactly how it happened with me. Like COVID especially, it's now going to be 6 years ago. In a few months, COVID would be 6 years ago. Can anybody believe that? It will be 6 years ago. 2020 just happened like last month or some shit. But it is about to be 6 years ago. That's scary as hell. So obviously, and this thing of like losing your prime, and not being where you want to be in life at a certain time. It's always like time is passing you by so quickly, right? And I remember this scene from the first Rocky film, where Rocky accepts the fight with Apollo Creed, and Mickey goes to him and tries to convince him to train him, and Rocky lets out like this pent up frustration on Mickey, where he goes like, there's this one moment in that scene where Rocky says to Mickey that at least you had a prime. Where was my prime? I've never had a prime, right? And Rocky feels like he's been robbed of this chance to prove himself. He feels like he's been robbed by life itself, right? And so many guys resonate with this, because we all feel like we're running out of time, and there is something like there's something that was supposed to happen in our lives, but by now it should have happened by now, but it didn't happen. And this like constant sort of like race against time that a lot of us guys find ourselves in, and especially at very, very young ages. I still struggle with this. So I think this is one theme as to which people can, or young men can relate to with Rocky. Then secondly, there would be decision making, especially bad decision making. And let me reference this scene from Rocky, where the first Rocky film, where Mickey and Rocky goes to Mickey's gym, and Mickey sort of like snubs him, or tells him off. And Rocky, he's basically, what Mickey says is he's disappointed in Rocky because he's turned into this like he lives paycheck to paycheck. And how does he live paycheck to paycheck? He lives this very sort of dull lifestyle, where he has to be paid by his loan shark Gazzo, right? And whatever Gazzo pays Rocky has to live off of that. And Mickey is very, very mad at Rocky, because like he feels that he's wasting his life, right? Even that moment where Rocky looks at Mickey, and he goes, it's a living. And Mickey looks at Rocky, and he goes, it's a waste of life, right? And a lot of guys, we feel like we have lost a lot of time, because we could have done something, in the past. Like I feel like I could have started earlier, and I should have started earlier, but like this whole thing, like back then when you're wasting your time, right? Or back then when you're like you choose to not engage in productivity, that time won't come back. And although you can so many guys, they waste their time in weird stuff, Maybe it's scrolling, maybe it's drinking, gambling, smoking, partying, whatever. So many guys waste their life, and they like try and cope with it in the future. They're like, oh no man, but back then I was like really happy, and this happened and that happened, and whatever I went through, I had to go through it, because like look what it made me now. Like, but a lot of the times it's like, it's decisions like these which sometimes you really feel like, I can avoid this, I could have avoided this. Maybe Rocky could not have avoided this, but as young men, we know that there's decisions that we took that, and we'll also take bad decisions in the future as well. But to sit and think, to actually like reflect on your life, and like actually acknowledge the fact that yes, where I fucked up was wrong, and what I did was wrong, and I shouldn't have done that. But still sort of like having somebody who holds you accountable, like Mickey does. Young men need that. We need somebody to tell us that we're screwing up, we're fucking up, we need to be better, right? And every bad decision is a lesson, yes, and it's important that we learn those lessons quickly and make something of ourselves, right? And bring our lives back on track, because we've seen a lot of people who go down the wrong path and they're never able to make out of it. So Rocky struggling with bad decision making is also something that makes Rocky very, very relatable. Thirdly, and this is something which is like a lot of guys in our generation feel very, very deeply. Thirdly, and like for a lot of guys, most importantly, is the desire for innocent love, which is basically being loved for who you are and not for what you can do, or love for what you have, right? People, especially like guys, young men, a lot of us guys do not get the deserved love, or sort of like not even the deserved love, but like the desired love for who we are. A man gets love for what he can do, what he can provide, right? Like that unconditional love existing for women and and children and dogs and stuff, right? We've all heard that quote. But like, I'm not going to say if I like agree with this statement, or if I disagree with this statement. I'm just trying to say here that Rocky really, the first Rocky especially, the way he interacts with Adrian, and he meets her, and he starts to fall for her for the first time, and they both have this date together, and they're both struggling in their lives. Rocky has his own struggles, Adrian has her own struggles, and they both come together, and they both find sort of this like very sweet bond between the two, because they can, with each other, they can finally like let go of all of that's bad in their life, and they can finally like find sort of solace in like the other person, because Adrian is also being loved for who she is, and Rocky is also being loved for who he is, right? And like this, and over the course of the next 5 films, because Adrian is only there until like Rocky 5, the way Adrian supports Rocky through thick and thin, even when they lose everything in like Rocky 5, the way she still stands there and she's trying to bring him out of like every sort of depressive patch in his life, and Rocky is always there, like standing tall, trying to defend his woman, and trying to protect his woman, and trying to be the best husband that he can be, and trying to be the best father that he can be, and Adrian is the best wife that any woman can be. Like, a lot of people, when they talk about like the peak sort of romance in movies, I don't know for what reason or why people just gloss over Rocky and Adrian. Like, this is such an innocent, such a genuine theme. People want to be loved for who they are. Rocky is somebody who gets love for who he is, because Rocky finds Adrian when he's flat broke, has nothing going on in his life. And this is what makes Rocky so special, because Rocky, before he gets all the glory, and before he gets all the fame, and even though he loses his first ever fight in the first film against Apollo Creed, and they still struggle to make ends meet in the next film, Rocky always has a rock solid wife by his side. Even in Rocky 3, when he loses to Clubber Lang and Mickey dies, and he's Rocky is on that beach and he's frustrated, and he admits to Adrian and he says that I'm afraid, and she's still able to bring him out. And it's like all of that innocent love, like somebody loving you for who you are, right? Not for what you can do. It's very rare, and that's very special. So I think all of these reasons are, why Rocky is continues to be, in fact, still very relevant to this day. Why young men all around the world aspire to be Rocky, and it's just the hope that you know that us guys have, and I especially have, that like if I try and work on me every day, if I try and be the best that I can be every day, maybe I will get, I will get all my goals in life. I'll get, whether if it's a dream job or the dream family, or I might get my, I might get the respect and the appreciation of my family, my peers, and all the people around me. And even if they do still, like, the people around you are still nice to you and they still love you, you still want to be, you know this very, like, sort of, you want to be like this model character or model personality, like in your circle, so that people look at you and you are, revered and respected and appreciated for what you are, as the great Rocky Balboa is, and as the great Sylvester Stallone is.